अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को न माए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So today would be the last class in this semester. We'll be completing the Saptabhangi and then we will move on to Anekant Syadvad, and that's also a short topic. So anyway, we will be completing that also. So before we move on to the concluding part of Saptabhangi, I will just recap what is Saptabhangi. Saptabhangi is sevenfold predication. Entity has many properties, attributes, power, nature to it. Among these, the properties are best explained by this Saptabhangi, because properties means two. Properties means dharma, and dharmas are always available in pair. And among this pair, one is a positive aspect and another is a negative aspect. Okay, so uh, both seems to be contradictory, but in reality it is not, because as far as the substance is concerned, both are present at the same time. Okay, so there is no contradiction here. Only thing is that we have to know the perspective from what it is being said. Okay, so this Saptabhangi or sevenfold predications apply only on those properties, pair of properties, okay, and not on attributes, gun, never. Okay, that is the first thing you should remember. And then the question is, why sevenfold? Because uh, the the curiosity is only of that seven types. Why the curiosity is only of seven types? Because the doubts are also of seven types. So for any substance, there could be seven types of doubt, and for that there are sevenfold predications. First three, what could be said about the substance, and the next four, what could not be said about the substance. All these leads together sevenfold predications. So any particular pair of properties will have seven predications. So in a particular substance, there are infinite pairs of properties. So there could be infinite types of sevenfold predications. Okay. But predications are always seven. It cannot go beyond that. So this is what, in a nutshell, I summarized what we did last week. Now continue from there. I'll make you a co-host. Who is going to be a co-host today? Okay, Himal, you are there. So come to page number 12. Among the Saptavangi, okay, the concluding part, we are just going to complete that. So these Saptabangis are of two types. One is Praman Saptabangi and another is Nai Saptabangi. So Praman Saptabangi, whenever you apply, we say किसी अपेक्षा से, कथनचित, from a certain perspective. And when it is a Nai Saptabangi, then we mention the perspectives. Okay, from a certain perspective, we don't write like that, but we specify the perspective from what it is being said. So the question was, whether sevenfold predication can be applied to anekant, non-absolutism? The answer is yes. Sevenfold predication applies to the principle of non-absolutism. Absolutism is ekant, one-sided. Non-absolutism is anekant, multifacetedness. Okay. So we are on to page number 12. Can you just share the PDF of page number 12 of
Yes,
Saptabangi?
sir, only 1 second. I'm just trying to handle this laptop. I'm not very comfortable. Just 1 second, sir.
Otherwise, Soumya, you are good. Then I will make you a host. Okay, I'll read by then. Page number 12, it is last paragraph. And to
Sir,
them.
actually, we are outside. We are not able to share screen today.
Okay, no problem. So the last paragraph of page number 12. To them, we say that the sevenfold predication applies to non-absolutism in the following way. Okay. Now that Praman Saptabangi is being explained about how we apply the sevenfold predication to the principle of non-absolutism. Okay. From a certain perspective, it is absolute. Madhuji, you could see in your textbook.
Yes, page 12 you're saying, no, sir?
Yeah, last
But
paragraph.
then we say that the sevenfold predications applies to non-absolutism.
Yeah, you go on reading.
Okay, sir. To them, we say that the sevenfold predication applies to non-absolutism in the following way. From a certain perspective, it is absolute. From a certain perspective, it is non-absolute. From a certain perspective, it is both absolute and non-absolute. From a certain perspective, it is inexpressible. From a certain perspective, it is absolute and inexpressible. From a certain perspective, it is non-absolute and inexpressible. And from a certain perspective, it is absolute, non-absolute, and inexpressible. That's it.
The discussion.
Yes, sir. The discussion of non-absolutism with non-absolutism will be taken up specifically in the next chapter titled Anekant and Syadvad. Here, it is only necessary to clarify that the application of sevenfold predication is universal, so much so that it is applied even to non-absolutism itself. In the Devagam Stotra, also known as
Mimamsa.
Aptamimamsa, Acharya Samadbhadra, addressing the Lord, says, "Can I read it, sir?
No,
Or I'll read the translation.
Yes.
O Lord, the nature of reality as expounded by you is, from a certain perspective, existent or existent of the nature of beings, from a certain perspective, non-existence of the nature of non-being, from a certain perspective, both existent and non-existent of the nature of being and non-being, from a certain perspective, inexpressible, from a certain perspective, existent and inexpressible, from a certain perspective, non existent and inexpressible, and from a certain perspective, existent, non existent, and inexpressible. But all of these are only from the perspective of the seven predications, not absolutely. Sarvat, sarvat,
He has
sarvata.
just logged me out.
Sarvatha.
Yes. I'll read further, sir. I'll read
What you
further.
want, Emily? You are still coast, I think.
Sorry, sir. I'm just getting logged out from my WhatsApp over here. I'm unable to. Sorry, sir. I'll mute myself.
Okay. Continue.
I'll continue, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would not accept the true existence, sadbhav, of an entity from the perspective of the fourfold intrinsic nature, its own substance, its own space, its own time, and its own essential nature. In the same way, who would not accept non existence above from the perspective of the other's quadret, other's substance, other's space, other's time, and other's nature? That is to say, every intelligent person would indeed accept it. If someone does not, then, according to their understanding, the very order of reality cannot be established. From the perspective of sequential prediction, uh, Kramarpana, the entity of a dual nature, being and non being, and due to the inability to assert both being and non being simultaneously, the entity is from a certain perspective inexpressible. The subsequent three predications, from a certain perspective, existent and inexpressible, from a certain perspective, non existent and inexpressible, and from a certain perspective, existent, non existent, and inexpressible, must also be understood to apply depending on their respective viewpoints. Those skilled in the application of the wheel of viewpoints should also apply the sevenfold predication to other dual attributes such as one, many, etc. From the entire above analysis, it becomes absolutely clear that the use of these seven predications is extremely useful, indeed essential, for understanding and explaining the nature of reality. The logic of sevenfold predication, which is not found elsewhere, it is a unique contribution of Jain philosophy for one's own spiritual benefit as well. This logic of sevenfold predication is immensely valuable. To gain a more detailed understanding of it, one should study texts such as Saptabhangi Tarangini, Tattvart Sloka Vartika, Tattvart Raja Vartika, Aptamimansa, Syadvad, Manjari, and others.
Hmm. So the middle paragraph, uh, it is Swadravya Kshetra Kal Bhav. That is being here referred as its own substance, its own space, Dravya Kshetra Kal, its own time, and its own essential nature, Bhav. Okay. So the true existence of an entity from the perspective of the fourfold intrinsic nature, okay, that is its own substance, space, time, and nature, is very well acceptable. In the same way, the non-existence from the perspective of others quadrat, that is Pardravya Kshetra Kal Bhav, other substance, other space, others time, and others nature. So everyone is going to accept it, and it is the truth. If someone does not, then according to their understanding, the very order of reality cannot be established. Okay. So if you accept these sevenfold predications, then you will be able to go to the self-realization. Because if you understand the substance in its correct form, then only the self-realization happens. Okay. So this sevenfold predication is it's a principle only available in Jain philosophy. Nowhere else this is available. And one thing that we should remember is this applies only on a pair of properties, dharma, and not on the gun. Okay. Gun are individual, so it will not apply. This will only apply in those pairs of properties or dharma. Okay. Tat, atat, sat, asat, ek, anek, nitya, anitya, like that. Okay. So this is all about sevenfold predications. Now we move on to Anekant Syadvad, the next chapter in this only. Next page, same textbook. Yes. So there is a glossary also given of the terminologies that has been used in sevenfold predication. Similarly, it's also available at the end of Anekant Syadvad. Okay. Now page number 16. Anekant and Syadvad, doctrine of non-absolutism and expression through relative speech. Okay. वाद means कहना, syad मतलब किसी अपेक्षा, expression through relative speech. Relative speech is syadvad. Okay. So there are in total 8 points. As we read through, I'll mark the points. Okay. Other thing is, you have to make a correction here. In spite of my pointing out the mistakes, this has not been corrected. So let's correct it. You write at the top of your textbook, okay. Here, attribute is means properties. They have used the word attribute, but actually the word used should be properties, and that is called dharma. Okay. So wherever you see the word attribute, you have to convert it to properties, and or either properties or you say dharma. So there is a clear-cut distinction between dharma and gun. Okay, that is we are going to highlight just now. So gun is being referred to here as quality, but actually gun should be attribute. So the next statement that you can write at the top is quality is equal to attribute is equal to guna. Okay. Now these two you have to change at many places in the first 2 pages. Okay. So this was this has not been corrected. I don't know why, but whatever it is there, you have to correct it yourself. Okay. So these words comes from the 4th paragraph. Okay. 4th paragraph, you will encounter these words attribute and quality. So wherever you get word attribute, you have to refer to it as properties or dharma. Okay. You can write the Hindi word dharma also, and wherever the word quality will come, you have to write attributes or gun. What is the basic difference between dharma and gun? So in total there are 4 things. Okay. Dharma, gun, shakti, swabhav. Okay. All these 4 are synonymous from a gross point of view. From a subtle point of view, there are little differences. So now we'll understand this differences, little differences. Then you will have more clarity between the distinctions between dharma and gun. From the gross point of view, it means same, synonymous. Okay. But from a subtle point of view, there is a difference. What is the difference? The properties are available always in pair. Okay. They seems to be contradictory, but in reality they are not contradictory. Why they are not contradictory? Because both exist in the same substance at the same time. So how can they be contrary? Although it appears to be contrary, but it is not contrary. Okay. So this thing you have to keep in mind. So the properties or the dharma are always available in pair. Out of this pair, one is from the positive aspective, other is from the negative aspect. Okay, that you have to remember. Now coming on to the gun. Gun are always individual. They never exist in pairs. Okay, so guns are individual. Gun have modifications, but the properties or the dharma don't have modifications. Okay, I think now it's more clear. So so dharma or properties are available in pairs. Okay, they don't have modifications. Gun are available individually, and it has got its modification. These two are the basic difference. So hope you have a clarity on this, because these words sometimes are used interchangeably. So you have to understand when it says dharma or properties, you should mean the two contradictory properties. Okay, it is not contradictory, but it appears to be contradictory. Like as I said, tat, atat, sat, asat, ek, anek, nitya, anitya, bhav, abhav, sat, asat, all these. Okay, always exist in pair. So you have to change in the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph. Attribute should be properties, attribute should be property, and quality is attributes. Okay, basic changes happening, and it's many times there in the 3rd and 4th paragraph. While we read, I will let you know. Okay, so first let's get into the first point, starting Acharya Samanbhadra. First, second, third, fourth. 4 paragraphs consist of first point. Then the second point starts from the usage of relative predications. Okay. Syat kar. Okay. Okay. So first point, what is the meaning of the word anekant? Anek plus ant. Okay. 2 words combining means anekant. Okay. Anek plus ant. So anek has got 2 meanings, and correspondingly ant has also got 2 meanings. So when we say anek, anek means more than 2 or 2. So when we say anek as 2, okay, then ant would be properties, dharma, okay. And when we say anek means many, more than 2, okay, any figure more than 2 is anek. So the meaning of the word ant would be gun or attributes. Okay. Anekant, anek plus ant. When anek is 2, ant would be dharma or properties. When anek is more than 2, many, then ant would be gun or attributes. Okay. So in each substance there are infinite properties, there are infinite attributes, there are infinite power, Shakti, and there are infinite nature, Swabhav. Okay. What is peculiar to power? So, like Sarvagnatva Shakti, omniscience, then the Sarvadarshitva Shakti, okay, complete perception, okay, or perfect perception. These two are type of power. Okay. So there is no modification of this. It directly gets expressed at the 13th stage of spiritual development. Now the last one is nature, Swabhav. Swabhav is something which is always present. वस्तु में सदाकाल पाया जाए उसे कहते हैं स्वभाव. और स्वभाव का कभी अभाव नहीं होता है. It never gets destroyed. Okay. So there are some powers or Shakti who are Swabhav, like Tyag Upadan Sunyatva Shakti, okay, Akarya Karanatva Shakti. These are all universal truth. Then Karta Shakti, Karma Shakti, Karana Shakti, Sampradan Shakti, Apadan Shakti, and Adhikaran Shakti. Okay. These 6 Shaktis starts from 41 to 47, 41 to 46. Among the 47 attributes as mentioned in Samaisar by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev. Okay. So, basic is all clear. Let's move and read the first point. Himali, you read the first point.
Okay, sir. Acharya Samant Bhadra has described expression.
Can you
through
make it
that-
more large, little bit? I think there is scope.
Yes, sir.
Full page, you can do it full page. Yes.
Can you read it, sir, till the end?
Yeah. Good. But if you can make it full page,
I-
this is the full.
Now, sir, it is spilling out for me.
Okay. Then, yeah, this is correct. Yeah. Good. Carry on.
Acharya Samant Bhadra has described expression through relative speech or conditional predication, Syadvad, as being dependent on the sevenfold predication saptabhangi and on viewpoint or perspective nay. Therefore, while discussing viewpoint, it is necessary to also discuss sevenfold predication, doctrine of non-absolutism, on relative pluralism or manifold aspect, which is anekant, and expression through relative speech. The discussion on the sevenfold predication has already been completed in the previous chapter. Now, in this chapter, it is fitting to discuss non-absolutism and relative speech. The nature, swarup, and an entity, vastu, is in the form of non-absolutism. Every entity is endowed with many attributes and qualities.
So air attributes would be properties and
Properties,
qualities would be
attribute.
attributes. You write at the top. In fact, you can, if you can write the Hindi word, it will be good. So you will not be confused. Dharma, gun. So wherever attributes appear, you write as dharma, and wherever qualities appear, you write as gun.
An entity possessing infinite attributes, ananta dharma,
Hmm.
is non-absolutism, and the expression through relative expression which means the non-absolute nature of an entity is called expression through relative speech. Between non-absolutism and relative speech, there exists an expressed relationship. In the appendix to Atmakhyati Tikka of Samesar, Acharya Amritchandra ji writes in this regard. Expression through relative speech is the unfaltering, unhindered teaching of the omniscient Arhat that establishes the true nature of all entities. It declares that since all entities possess the nature of non absolutism, they are manifold in aspect. That very entity, which is that, is also not that, atat, tat and atat, and which is one, eka, is also many, anek, and which exists or is sat, is also non exist or is not, asat, and which is eternal, nitya, is also non eternal, anitya. In this way, the manifestation of two opposing potencies that produce the
Mutually,
real.
mutually, mutually. Mutually
Sorry,
is missing.
sorry. In this way, the manifestation of two mutually opposing potencies that produce the reality of an entity within a single entity is non absolutism. The word anekant, non absolutism, is formed from two words, anek and anata. Anta.
Ant.
Anek means more than one. More than one can be two or can be infinite. Between two and infinite, many meanings are possible. And anta means attribute, dharma, or quality, gun. Since infinite qualities exist in every entity, therefore, where anek is taken to mean infinite, ant should be understood as quality. According to this explanation, the meaning would be a substance possessing infinite qualities is anekanta. However, where anek is taken to mean two, then ant will mean attribute. Then the meaning would be the presence of two mutually opposing attributes within a single entity is anekanta.
So this is the end of point number 1. Okay. So you must have understood that wherever the word attribute appears, it means dharma, and wherever the word quality appears, it means gun. Okay, you have to change it, physically change it in your textbook, otherwise you will get confused. Because in English, attribute and quality are more or less the same thing, right? But as I said, from the subtle point of view, there is a difference. The dharma are always available in pair. The dharma doesn't have modification. The gun are individually available and they have modifications. Okay. So this is the basic difference. So
So
this is the
what is that mutually opposing dharma? How can
ah
dharma be opposing?
yeah. So dharma here means attribute. It's a synonymous of attribute. Okay. Dharma matlab gun. Dharma matlab स्वभाव. Dharma matlab shakti. Okay. So these are the properties of that entity. So in an entity, there are two mutually opposite properties called dharma. Okay. Dharma doesn't means religion. Okay.
Yeah. So
Dharma
it's a
doesn't
base
mean here religion. Dharma here means
attribute.
properties or attributes. Okay. So this you should remember. So how it can coexist? The same mutually opposite. So the fact is they are not mutually opposite. It seems as to be mutually opposites like Nitya, Anitya. So both exist in the same substance simultaneously. The substance is Nitya from a certain perspective. The substance is Anitya from a certain perspective. This is uh, from the Praman Saptabhangi side. Now, to express the same from the by explaining the perspective, it would be like this. The substance is nitya from the substance point of view. Okay, द्रव्य दृष्टि से द्रव्यार्थिक नहीं से it is nitya और पर्यार्थिक नहीं से it's anitya. From the modification point of view, it is non-eternal. Okay, so there is no contradiction. Both properties exist in the same substance at the same time. Okay, so although it seems to be mutually opposing, but in reality they are not. They complement each other. Okay, like sat asat. Okay, so from the positive side, swadravya, swashetra, swakal, swabhav, the substance exists. From the negative side, par dravya, par kshetra, par kal, par bhav, the substance does not exist, non-existence. Okay, so both the opposite, mutually opposite properties are simultaneously available in the substance. Okay, there is no time lag. It's there, always there. Okay, so this is what dharma means. Okay, dharma here doesn't means religion. Dharma here doesn't means vitrakta, passionlessness. Dharma here means properties,
Right.
attributes.
Thank
Okay. So now the second point, Malti ji, you read only.
Yes, sir. The usage of relative predication, syatkar, is applied in respect of attributes, not in respect of qualities. Everywhere the application of relative predication is made with reference to attributes, never with the affirmative qualities, anujivi gun. Although in general usage, the word dharma means quality and is also designated by terms such as potency, sakti, yet there is a certain distinction between quality and attribute. In every entity, there are infinite potencies, which are called qualities or attributes. Among these, those potencies which appear mutually opposed or relative are termed attributes. For example, eternity and non eternity, unity and multiplicity, existence and non existence, difference and non difference, and so on. Those potencies which are free from contradictions and are absolute are called qualities.
So
For
now
example,
have you not changed the word? Qualities will be gun,
oh,
attributes
yeah,
will be dharma. If you don't change, you will getting confused again and again. Okay, so just 2 minutes, you can everywhere you can just cut the word attributes and put it as dharma. You can write it in Hindi. Okay, and wherever the quality word appears, you can write it as gun. Okay, so then you will be able to understand clearly. Okay, and potencies means shakti. Okay, potencies means shakti. So it will take 2 minutes. You just change the words. Otherwise, we will keep getting confused. Potency means Shakti. Qualities means Gun. Attributes means Dharma. Dharma are always available in pairs. Okay. They seems to be contradictory in nature, but in reality, they are not contradictory. They complement each other. Okay. And the Gun quality does have a modification. The properties don't have a modification. Okay. Gun are always available in individual capacity. Dharma are always available in pairs. Okay. So these are some of the difference that you should note. I hope everyone have done the correction, so we can move ahead. Start reading
So,
again. Yeah, Malti.
yes. For example, knowledge, perception, bliss of the soul, the color, taste, smell of matter. These are the potencies which are free from contradiction and are absolute are called good. The gun in which there is no mutual contradiction when they are simultaneously present in a single entity, all parties, proponents, and opponents alike readily accept this. But those in which some form of contradiction seems to appear, only the proponents of relative speech accept them. Others, by accepting only one side of such opposing gun, but also one second, sir. But
You
those
are, I think, you are
Opposing
in different.
attribute.
You are in different page or what?
no, it's the same. Yeah, the gun in which there is no
You
mutual
just read again the qualities in which there is no. So from qualities would be Gun.
the gun in which there is no mutual contradiction when they are simultaneously present in a single entity, all parties, proponents, and opponents alike readily accept.
Right.
But those in which some form of contradiction seems to appear, only the proponents of relative speech accept them. Others, by accepting only one side of such opposing dharma, became biased. Therefore, in the definition of non absolutism, special emphasis is placed on the issue of mutually opposing Shakti. Within each entity, many pairs of apparently opposing dharma are found. Therefore, an entity is not merely a mass of many dharma, but also a mass of many pairs of seemingly opposing dharma. Those
Yes.
dharma which appear mutually opposed are expounded by relative speech in its conditional style.
So this is the end of point number 2. Okay. So basically in this point we clarified what is the difference between Gun and a Dharma. Gun are always individual. They have a modification. The Dharma are available in pairs. They don't have modification. Okay. Now the third point. Each entity possesses infinite Dharma. Okay, infinite dharma. So Pratibhaji, you read the third point. You have changed the words because here also it will appear. Attributes would be dharma, quality would be guna.
The attribute is dharma, right? I haven't changed on all of it yet, but let me start reading.
No
Each
problem.
entity possesses infinite dharma. It is not possible to express all of them simultaneously because the power of words is limited. They can express only in dharma at a time. Hence, among the infinite dharma, one intended at dharma becomes primary, which is expounded while all other dharma remain secondary, since nothing is being said about them at that moment. The primariness and secondariness do not pertain to the dharma present in entity, but arise according to the speaker's intention, intent, or non-intent expression is a distinction of speech, not of the entity.
Intent or non-intent of expression.
Yeah, intent or not intent of expression is a distinction of speech, not of the entity.
Hmm.
In the entity, all uh, all
Dharma.
dharma are present at all times in their full measure. There is no question of primary and secondary among them. This is because the entity has the potency to hold within itself even those dharma that appear mutual opposing. These dharma have existed within the entity since beginningless time and will continue to exist for infinite time due to the incapacity of speech to express all of them simultaneously. Distinctions of intent, non intent, and of primary, secondary emerge only in speech. The entity is itself independent of anything external in sustaining its own qualities and dharma. It does not depend in the least upon anything else within its all attribute, such as eternity,
Non-eternality.
uh, I was just going to the screen, sorry about that. The entity is in itself independent of anything external in sustaining its own qualities and dharma. It does not depend in the least upon anything else. Within it, all dharma, such as eternity and non eternity, unity and multiplicity, and so on, are present simultaneously. From the viewpoint of the substance, the entity is eternal at a given moment, and from the viewpoint of modes, pariyai, at that very moment, it is also non eternal. But in speech, when eternity is expressed, non eternity cannot be expressed
Eternity, no, it is
in time.
eternality. L is there.
Non eternality,
Yes.
express non eternality, sorry, uh, cannot be expressed at the same time. Therefore, when we expound the eternality of the entity, the listener may assume that the entity is only eternal and not non eternal. Hence, we say, from a certain perspective, it is also eternal. By saying so, it will naturally become clear to the listener that from certain perspective, it is also non eternal, even though that is not being stated because of the incapacity of speech. Thus, the use of word syad from certain perspective in speech is essential. The Syad expression renders the other dharma secondary, but not absent. Without its use, the illusion of absence could arise. In the Jainendra Siddhanta Kosa, the meaning of Syadvad is given as follow: conditional predication. Syadvad is the method of expressing an entity that is characterized by non-actualism, anekanta. Since it is impossible to describe an entire entity all at once through a single word or sentence for practical purpose, one attribute is sometimes presented as primary and at other times another. While hearing the statement that emphasizes one primary dharma, the listener should continue to accept the remaining dharma in secondary manner without negating them. For this purpose, the proponent of non-actualism employs the term in a certain respect.
Kathanchit.
Katham chit, with each statement. Some
Yeah, stop,
thinkers
stop,
say,
stop, stop.
Mhm.
So this is the end of point number 3. In this point, it was highlighted that the properties, mutually opposing properties, it seems to be that, but it is not. because as far as the entity is concerned, both are there at the same time. But while expressing, there is limitation of the speech. If we are expressing one aspect of the property, that is the positive aspect, we cannot explain the negative one simultaneously, because this is the limitations of speech, right? But as far as the entity is concerned, both the properties coexist simultaneously. Okay, so this was highlighted in this point. Now the fourth point.
So,
Yeah.
so,
Hmm.
so this is Himali here. So I'm understanding,
Hmm.
but sir, can you give us an example? I mean, it'll just make things a little more simpler.
Okay, so a substance is having a property of nitya and anitya, eternal and non-eternal. Okay, so now both exist in the entity itself, in the
So you're
same
talking of
substance.
the soul.
Pardon?
So are you talking about the soul?
Any substance, soul, matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, time, space, all the six substances, these things apply. Okay, so it is eternal and non-eternal simultaneously. Now, both are technically, you can say, contradictory. Both words, eternal and non-eternal, are opposites. Now, to explain that property, there are viewpoints. Okay, so we have Nischay Vyavhar, we have Dravyarthik Nyay, Paryarthik Nyay. Okay, so from the real point of view, the substance is eternal. From the conventional point of view, it is non-eternal. From the substance point of view, it is eternal. From the modification point of view, it is non-eternal. Okay, so from certain perspective, it is eternal. From a certain perspective, it is non-eternal. Okay, but this is the limitation of speech. But as far as both the properties are concerned, both are present in the substance simultaneously all the time, right? So there is a limitation of talking. So when I am talking about the eternalness of the substance, I cannot talk about the non-eternal, right? So that is the limitation of speech. But as far as the substance is concerned, both the properties coexist simultaneously. Okay. Similarly, you can take other examples also, like existence, non-existence, tat, atat, that, atat, not that. Then we have ek, anek, one, many, right? So all these are mutually opposing properties, and both exist in the substance simultaneously. So these are some of the examples. Only thing is that while talking, we can talk from one property point of view, one at a time. But as far as the nature of thing is concerned, as far as the substance is concerned, both coexist simultaneously. Now, uh, something from the grammar. Okay, so they are using two words, be, he. Be in English means also, he means only. He is for firmness, and be also is there to express that the substance also have other properties in it. Okay, so these two, this is the fourth point, and this fourth point is divided into four: 4a, 4b, 4c, 4d. Okay, so the first one is the introductory paragraph. Then the next paragraph also is not an indicator of harmony. Okay, that is 4a. The next paragraph 4b also conveys 4b. Then to interpret also 4c. Then in the next page, in the same way 4d. Okay, and then the fourth the fourth point ends in the next paragraph, Samyak Anekant. Okay, it's written in the bracket, Samyak Anekant. So
Sir,
here,
excuse me, sir.
Hmm.
4C, and
Hmm.
in the same way, in the context I have, sir, in sentences,
1
there is
minute. 4C
in
is to interpret
yes,
also
yes, we got it.
as meaning. Okay,
Yes, yes.
and 4D
Next page,
is 4D is in the same way if the particle.
end of the page, yes.
No, next page.
Yeah, but I don't have it. Yeah, acha,
Uh,
yeah. Sorry. Yes,
uh,
but
okay, and the
both
next
the
paragraph, the fourth point ends with Samyak Anekant in the bracket. Okay, here the fourth point ends. Now the fifth point starts from although. Okay, so now
yeah.
we will be discussing the fourth point only. Okay, and Rekha, you read the fourth point. Some thinkers.
Some thinkers say that in the style of relative speech, the use is of also he, not of only he. To them, also carries the fragrance of harmony, while only carries the stench of obstinacy.
Obstinacy means hurt ki durgandh. Okay, and
Okay.
also carries the fragrance, sugandh of harmony.
But this is only their intellectual delusion. In the
This
style
is not correct. This is their delusion.
In the style of relative speech, the necessity of using also is no less than that of using only. Also and only have equal importance.
Both are equally important because at certain times you have to use the word also to depict that the substance does not contain only these quality. There are some other qualities available in them, and only is to express the firmness. From that particular perspective, it is like this. So when we come to the example of elephant, you will be understanding it better. But let's go on reading 4a.
A, 4a, also is not an indicator of harmony, but of the existence of the unexpressed, and,
Unexpressed, right.
and only is not an indicator of obstinacy, but of firmness.
Firmness.
There is a method of their usage, and that is where the perspective is not specified and it is merely said from a certain perspective, apeksha. There the use of also is necessary, and where the perspective is clearly specified, the use of only is indispensable. For example, every entity is from a certain perspective also eternal, and from a certain perspective also non-eternal. If we state the same with specified perspective, then it must be said in this way. Every entity is eternal only from the viewpoint of substance and is non-eternal only from the viewpoint of modification. B also conveys that what we are saying is not the entirety of the entity. It is not just that, it is something more as well, but only conveys that although from other angles, viewpoint, the entity has many other aspects. From the angle viewpoint under discussion, it is exactly so. What no room for doubt. Therefore, only and also are complementary to each other, not opposing. Only removes all doubts regarding its subject and provides firmness, while also, though remaining silent about the other viewpoints, indicates not merely their possibility, but their definite existence. C. To interpret also as meaning that what is being said has the possibility of being contradicted is wrong. Possibility is an indicator of ignorance. That is, it expresses. I don't know. It could be anything. But relative speech is not a doctrine of possibility. It is comprehensive knowledge, Praman, because it is grounded in definite knowledge. From also, no such meaning arises that beyond this, I don't know what exists. Rather, the meaning is that at this moment it cannot be expressed, or there is no need to express it. The use of also is to prevent the incomplete from being taken as complete. In other words, the statement made about a part should not be mistaken as a statement about the whole. For this reason also is employed, not for patching together many false one-sided views. Similarly, the use of only is not to express insistence, but to clarify that the statement made about a part is completely true. From that particular perspective, the entity is exactly so and not otherwise. Acharya Sri Samantabhadra have repeatedly employed the use of only. The use of only is supported in the Lokavartika in the following manner. In sentences, the use of only must indeed be made to avoid undesirable meanings and to establish firmness. Otherwise, in some cases, the sentence may be taken as though it has not been said at all. Acharya Samantabhadra too has expressed the same sentiment in Yuktiyanu Shasana verses 41 42. In this context, the Siddhantacharya Pandit Kailasha Chandra writes, in the same way, if the particular eva,
Particle. If the
particle evakara only he is not used in a sentence, one would be compelled to accept absolutism. For in such a case, the exclusion of non-absolutism becomes inevitable. For instance, in the statement, active consciousness, upyog, is the distinctive characteristic of only the jeev. The presence of only establishes that active consciousness is the characteristic not of anything else, but of jeev alone. Therefore, the word only were omitted. Active consciousness would also be taken as characteristics of a jeev. In the statements of comprehensive knowledge, only the term from a certain perspective is used. However, in statements of viewpoints, along with from a certain perspective, the use of only is also essential. Only indicates right absolutism, samyak ekant, while also indicates right non-absolutism, samyak anekant.
So this is the end of point number 4. Okay. 2 words. Only and also. Okay. Only indicates right absolutism, samyak ekant, while also indicates right non-absolutism, samyak anekant. You know, what is right non-absolutism? You know, right non-absolutism is a total of many right absolutism. Okay. So you highlight one thing, you understand that. You highlight another thing, you understand that. So when you know the whole, when you want to know the whole substance, you add up those different perspectives, you add up and you get the clear picture of the whole substance. That is called samyak anekant, right non-absolutism. Okay. So we can say that right absolutism is a part of right non-absolutism. Okay. So when you combine many right absolutism viewpoints, you end up in getting the clear picture of right non-absolutism. So these two words only also are very important. They are not opposites. They complement each other. Okay. So we have seen 4 points, 4A, B, C, D. Okay. Let's see what 4A says. So also and only have equal importance. Okay. Also is not an indicator of harmony, but of the existence of the unexpressed. I am saying you something, but at the same time, there are many things to that entity. I am only expressing one thing. So many things are unexpressed. To, to express that unexpressed things, also word is used. Okay. So also is not an indicator of harmony, but of the existence of the unexpressed. And only is not an indicator of obstinacy. Obstinacy means hut, jid, no, but of firmness. When we say only, that means we are expressing the firmness, that from this particular perspective, it is like this. Now we'll take the example of elephant, although it is coming in the 5th point, but nevertheless, now we are discussing he and be, then we will understand better. I'll just tell you. Okay. Many men who were blind, born blind, attempt to know elephant. Okay. So one touches the elephant uh, through its leg. Okay. Okay. So he says that elephant is like a pillar. Okay. The another one who touches its belly may say it is like a wall. The only one who holds its ear may say it is like a winnowing fan, soup, And the one who catches its trunk may say it is like the trunk of a tree. Okay. So 4 blind men, of course, in the example there are 6, but here it is only explained 4. Okay. So these 4 blind men, all are touching the elephant, but all are having different interpretation of the elephant. Now, how their quarrels could be resolved? So there was a man who had eyes and he was passing through, and these people were quarreling. So he came to them and said, don't quarrel. Whatever you said, each one of you is true. Okay. So now he explains the perspective. Okay. Now he says the one who touches the leg, he says that elephant is like a pillar. Okay. So he is not wrong, because the elephant's leg is like a pillar. So if you now include the perspective leg, then of course elephant's leg is like a pillar. Okay. Then similarly, its ear is like a winnowing fan. Its belly is like a wall. Okay. And its trunk is like a tree. Okay. So when the perspective is being explained, all the disputes get resolved. Okay. So there is no need to fight. Fighting only happens because of ignorance. Okay. So the other day, means last maybe many months ago, we studied about 8 nays, 8 viewpoint, Upcharit, Anupcharit, Sadbut Vyavhar Nay, Asadbut Vyavhar Nay, then Nischay Nay, then the last one was Param Shuddh Nischay Nay, supreme real point of view. Okay. There also the purpose was, when you know all the perspective, you don't quarrel. Okay. There is no doubt in your mind. You are able to comprehend it. You say the statement from whichever perspective you want. Because of my knowledge, upgraded knowledge, I can decimate that message in the right manner. So when you say that this is my family, this is my car, this is my home, I know you are talking from the number 1 perspective. When you say this is my body, I know it's number 2. When you say these emotions are mine, I say it's number 3. Okay. So when you say these are all my pure modifications, I know it's number 4. So I know all the perspective. So I don't have any confusion in my mind. Okay. I don't have any doubt in my mind. I don't have any queries. So automatically this leads to passionlessness. You are able to absorb. You are able to absorb what is reflecting in your knowledge screen. Okay. So understanding of this perspective is only that once you know the perspective, you are able to maintain equilibrium. You are able to maintain passionlessness in the same situation. Okay. But just knowing the perspective. Okay. So these perspectives are very important. In Jainism, everything is being said from a certain perspective. You have to understand that same thing from that particular perspective to get to the sorry, to get to the correct knowledge. Okay. So, now from the example of elephant, you are more clear when you are not talking about the perspective, you are talking in general. Then we say from a certain perspective, it's okay. But when you specify the perspective, then we apply the word only. Okay. So now you know better what is the significance of the word only and also. 4b also conveys that we are saying is not the entirety of the entity. It is not just that, it is something more as well. Okay. Also means says it is something more as well. But only conveys that although from other angles, viewpoints, the entity has many other aspects. From the angle viewpoint under discussion, it is exactly so with no room for doubt. Therefore, only and also are complementary to each other and not opposing. Only removes all doubts regarding the subject and provides firmness, while also, though remaining silent about the other viewpoints, indicate not merely their possibility but their definite existence. Okay. So now we have more clarity on the substance by using the word also and only. Third one, to interpret also as meaning that what is being said has the possibility of being contradicted is wrong. Possibility is an indicator of ignorance. That is, it expresses, I do not know, it could be anything. But relative speech, Syadvad, is not a doctrine of possibility. It is comprehensive, valid knowledge, praman gyan, samyak gyan, right knowledge, because it is grounded in definite knowledge. From also, no such meaning arises that beyond this I do not know what exists. Rather, the meaning is that at this moment it cannot be expressed or there is no need to express it. We don't want to say all the things at the one time. Okay. Right now I'm highlighting one thing and explaining there are other properties to it. But right now I am mum on those. I'm not expressing that. Okay. The use of also is to prevent the incomplete from being taken as complete. Okay. The use of also is to prevent the incomplete from being taken as complete. This is also very important. In other words, the statement made about a part should not be taken as a statement about the whole. Okay. So the leg is like a pillar, but it should not be mistaken as a statement like elephant is like a pillar. No, elephant's leg is like a pillar. Okay. So this is another point. In other words, the statement made about a part should not be mistaken as a statement about the whole. For this reason also is employed, not for patching together many false one-sided views. Okay. 4D, we already saw. In the same way, if the particle avkar only is not used in a sentence, one would be compelled to accept absolutism. Okay, this is another very good point. If we don't use the word only, okay, that means that what is being shown as a characteristics of a particular thing is also a characteristics of another thing. Okay, but when we specify the word only, that means that these characteristics only exist in this only and not others. Okay, so this is also a very good point. 4D. In the same way, if the particle only is not used in a sentence, one would be compelled to accept absolutism. For in such a case, the exclusion of non-absolutism becomes inevitable. Okay. For instance, in the statement, active consciousness, upyog, is the distinctive characteristics of only the jeev. Okay. So only we use, so it is only pertaining to jeev. Okay. The presence of only establishes that active consciousness is the characteristics not of anything else, but of Jeev alone. Therefore, if the word only were omitted, active consciousness could also be taken as the characteristics of Ajeev, and that would be a wrong statement. Okay. So, these both are used and it serves the purpose of expressing the substance in the right manner. Okay. And if you know the substance in the right manner, automatically the realization happens. Okay. So the conclusion, in a statement of comprehensive knowledge, only the term from a certain perspective is used. However, in statement of viewpoints, along with from a certain perspective, the use of only is also essential. Only indicates right absolutism, Samyak Ekant, while also indicates right non-absolutism. Okay. So very good point. Now the fifth point, this will also include the examples of elephant. So the same point has been being explained by giving different examples. Now we'll read the fifth point. Okay. Hemali, you read. Although
Although
Jain
Jain
philosophy.
philo-
From
yes,
there.
although Jain philosophy is called the philosophy of non-absolutism, yet if it were regarded as entirely non-absolutist, that too would become an absolutism. Therefore, in Jain philosophy, even within non-absolutism itself is accepted. Jain philosophy is neither entirely absolutist, not entirely non-absolutist. It is from a certain perspective absolutist and from a certain perspective non-absolutist. This is what is meant by non-absolutism within non-absolutism. It has also been said comprehensive knowledge and viewpoint are its instruments. In this way, too, non absolutism is the nature of non absolutism. For, from the perspective of all inclusive comprehensive knowledge, the entity is of the nature of non absolutism. And from the perspective of partial viewpoint, the entity is of non absolutism. According to Jain philosophy, absolutism is of two kinds and non absolutism is also of two kinds, namely, right absolutism, samyak ekant, and false absolutism, mithya ekant. Right non absolutism, samyak anekant, and false non absolutism, mithya anekant. Absolute, non relative viewpoints are false absolutism. Absolute viewpoints are false absolutism. And relative viewpoints are right absolutism. And the collection of relative viewpoints, that is scriptural comprehensive knowledge, Shrut Praman, is right absolutism, while the collection of absolute viewpoints, that is pseudo comprehensive knowledge, praman abhas, is false non-absolutism. It has also been said the entity that is of the nature of non-absolutism is from the relative viewpoint also of the nature of absolutism. From the perspective of scriptural knowledge, Shrut it is of the nature of non-absolutism, and from the perspective of viewpoints, it is of the nature of non-absolutism. Without a perspective, the nature of the entity cannot be perceived. Establishing non-absolutism within non-absolutism, Alak, Alak, Al,
Akalandev.
Aklandev, sorry, writes, thank you. If non-absolutism were accepted as only non-absolutism and absolutism were completely set aside, then in the absence of right absolutism, non-absolutism too, being of the nature of a collection of both, would cease to exist, just as the absence of branches, a tree, would cease to exist. Therefore, if absolutism alone were accepted, with then with the negation of the coexistent other attributes, आवाज नहीं कर रही यार, the negation of the remaining natural ones would also occur. And in this way, there would arise the occasion of total negation. Right absolutism is a viewpoint, and right non absolutism is comprehensive knowledge. Non absolutism is inclusive of all viewpoints. Just as scattered pearls, when threaded onto one string, become a beautiful necklace, in the same way, when the different viewpoints are threaded onto the string of relative speech, the entire set of viewpoints is called scriptural comprehensive knowledge. In non absolutism, which is the seed form of the supreme scripture, Paramagam, lies the splendor of all viewpoints, right absolutisms. It has the power to resolve the opposition, while absolutisms for opposition is not in the entity but in ignorance. For example, if many men born blind attempt to know an elephant by touch, the one who happens to grasp its leg may say the elephant is like a pillar. The one who touches its belly may say it is like a wall. The one who holds its ears may say it is like a winnowing fan. And the one who catches its trunk may say it is like the trunk of a plantain tree. None of these would be correct about the whole elephant because what was perceived was only a part of it, while what was spoken was of the whole. If seeing a part, if seeing a part, one speaks only of that part, then it would be wrong. For example, if it is said that the elephant's leg is like a pillar, its ear is like a winnowing fan, and its belly is like a wall, there is nothing untrue in it. But this statement is relative, and relative viewpoints
सापेक्ष नहीं, सापेक्ष नहीं.
sapekshne, thank you, sir, are true. The leg alone is not the elephant. The belly alone is also not the elephant. In the same way, no single part can express the whole. By the use of from a certain perspective, it becomes clear that the statement being made here relates to a part, not to the whole. In the statements concerning the elephant and its limbs, the use of only and also will be as follows. The elephant is from a certain perspective like a wall, from a certain perspective like a pillar, and from a certain perspective like a winnowing fan. Here, the perspective has not been specified. It has only been said from a certain perspective. Therefore, the use of also becomes necessary. If we were to specify the perspective, then the use of only would become indispensable. Otherwise, the sense would not be clear and the statement would lack definitiveness. For example, the elephant's leg is like a pillar only. Its ear is like a winnowing fan only, and its belly is like a wall only. The above statement is completely true in relation to the part. Therefore, the use of only is necessary. And it is partially true in relation to the whole, therefore, the use of also is necessary. Even when from a certain perspective is not used, the discerning should understand that it is implied, silent. In this context, it is clearly written in the Kashaya Pauda, if a speaker intends the meaning implied by from a certain perspective, then even if it is not actually used, its meaning is understood. Therefore, even its non use does not constitute any fault. It has also been said when the intention to express the sense of from a certain perspective is present, its non use is to be regarded as its implied expression.
Top. So this is the end of point number 5. Okay. So the last paragraph I would just like to highlight. If a speaker intends means what is his intention? Okay. If a speaker intends the meaning implied by from a certain perspective, then even if it is not actually used, its meaning is still understood. Okay. So every time you did not write from a certain perspective, even if you don't mention it, it is understood that it is from a certain perspective. So in Jinwani, all the statements are from certain perspective. Every time the perspective will not be mentioned, you have to upgrade your knowledge and understand it in the right sense from the perspective from which it is being said. Okay, this much is our responsibility, and if you exercise this responsibility, then the result would be that you will be not be having any doubt, you will not be reacting, you will not be uh, manifesting any kind of passions. On the contrary, you will be in equanimity state all the time. Okay. So it is for our own benefit to understand all these perspectives and comprehensive knowledge and understand what is being said from which perspective. Okay. This much clarity of thought in our knowledge always enables us to be in peace, calmness, serenity. Okay. Will not be excited, or you will not be agitated to manifest any passions. On the contrary, you will be able to absorb everything that is being reflected on your knowledge screen. Okay. So if it is also not used, doesn't matter. When the intention is there to express from certain perspective, you, even if it is not expressed, it is regarded as its implied expression. Okay. This was the last paragraph. Then before that, elephant's example we have already touched upon. Only thing that new thing has come is that absolutism is of two kinds, and non-absolutism is also of two kinds. Okay. Right absolutism, false absolutism. So all the viewpoints are absolute. Okay. And all the comprehensive knowledge, okay, are non-absolutism. Okay. So we have only two tools to identify the object: viewpoint and the comprehensive valid knowledge. Pramana Gyan and Nai Gyan. Praman and Nai are the only two tools to know the substance. So we keep on applying these two, one after the other, okay, to have a clarity on the substance, the nature of substance, okay. And by having the correct understanding of the nature of substance, we can manifest right belief. Okay, our belief will become right if we are able to comprehend things as they are. Okay, so this is the final. So absolutism of two kinds and non-absolutism of two kinds. right absolutism, false absolutism, right non-absolutism, false non-absolutism. Okay. Absolute viewpoints are false absolutism. Okay. Non-relative. There is nothing non-relative in Jainism. Everything is being said from a certain perspective. Okay. All are relative statements. Okay. So absolute viewpoints are false absolutism and relative viewpoints are right absolutism. And the collection of relative viewpoints, okay, that is the scriptural comprehensive knowledge, Shuddha Praman. Okay, and this Shuddha Praman is nothing but uh, right non-absolutism. Okay, this is the right non-absolutism. So non-absolutism, right non-absolutism is a combination of different right absolutism. Okay, collection of all these. So when we see the thing as a whole, it is a comprehensive knowledge. When we apply the viewpoints, it is explaining the particular perspective, okay, particular part of the substance. Okay. So by applying these viewpoints, we will know each part very clearly because that part is being highlighted, other parts are being ignored at that point of time. Okay. So in this manner, we know the whole substance, and when you know the whole substance, it is called the comprehensive knowledge. Okay. So then the example of elephant is all clear. So I think everything is clear. Now the sixth point. Although every entity is a mass of many mutually, okay, from there you have to read. Maltiji, you read only one paragraph, then we are going to skip something because it's just repeating the same thing again and again. Okay. One thing I
Okay,
would
sir.
like to clarify that I have given you homework for CC3. Okay. So in CC3, like you have to summarize. Okay. You have to summarize point wise. So we have already marked the points here in Anekant and Syadvad. There are 8 points. You have to mark each point. Okay. And similarly in Saptabhangi also, you write point wise. Wherever you find new concepts, you write point wise and you explain the whole concept of Saptabhangi in a summarized form. Okay. So these are your homework. So you should read it very nicely, then make the notes, and that notes will stand whenever you want to repeat that topic. You have to just go through these points. Okay. So that's why all these CC homeworks are given to you, so that at least when you write, no, you are having a very correct understanding of the content of that particular paper. Okay. So now the sixth point, one paragraph only, Maltiji.
Okay, sir. Although every entity is a mass of many mutually opposed pairs of attributes, yet in the entity only those mutually opposed attributes are found which are possible, not those which are impossible. Otherwise, along with attributes like eternality and non eternality in the soul, there would also arise the possibility of attributes such as consciousness and unconsciousness, which cannot be.
Stop. So rest is we are skipping. So it's just repetitive. You can read it as a homework. Here, the emphasis is that the mutually opposite attributes we should only consider which are possible. Something which is not existing in the substance, and if you write, then it will be false. Okay. So we have to be very clear. We are explaining those attributes which are there in the substance. Okay. Although every entity is a mass of many mutually opposed pairs of attributes, yet in the entity only, those mutually opposite attributes are found which are possible, not those which are impossible. Okay. Otherwise, along with attributes like eternality, and non-eternality in the soul, there would also arise the possibility of attributes such as consciousness and unconsciousness. So unconsciousness does not exist. Okay. So it's not that way. What is possible, that only we need to discuss. Okay. Otherwise, it will be again a wrong presentation and wrong, then it will create delusion in you, it will create doubt in you, and you will not be able to realize yourself. Okay. Now the next page, the 7th point. The wheel of viewpoints. Now this is something very, very important. This we are also going to read in Purshat Siddhi Upay in the 7th Sem. But right now, we are covering here in this point, the wheel of viewpoints. Okay, continue. Malti ji, you only continue.
Okay, sir. The wheel of
Sir?
viewpoint.
Yeah.
Naya Chakra, in the form of relative speech propounded by Lord Jinnah, is of an extremely sharp edge. It must be wielded with utmost care, otherwise, it may harm the very one who wields it. Before attempting to wield it, one should take refuge in the guidance of those adept teachers who are skilled in its use and should, under their direction, grasp the true essence of the Jinnah's teaching. The doctrines of non absolutism and relative speech are so profound and subtle that without understanding them deeply and minutely, it is impossible to grasp their true essence. For, when viewed superficially, they appear entire erroneous. In this regard, Sri Fanibhushan Adhikari, former head of the Department of Philosophy at the Hindu University Kashi, has written as follows. No other doctrine has been so gravely misunderstood as the Jain doctrine of relative speech. Even Shankaracharya was also not free from this error. He too has been unjust towards this doctrine. Such a mistake might have been excusable in the case of less learned persons. But if I may be permitted to say so, for so great a scholar of India, it can only be called inexcusable. Although I hold this sage in the highest reverence, it appears that he did not care to study the fundamental canonical texts of this religion.
Stop. So we'll continue, but let me explain this. So the wheel of viewpoints, Nai Chakra, in the form of relative speech, Syadvad. Okay. So our all statements are from a certain perspective. Now, if you don't understand the perspective, then what will happen, you know? We will be harming ourselves. In what way? Either we will be becoming careless, okay, or we will be going into the wrong path. In both the cases, our valuable time will go away and we will lose this opportunity of manifesting the three gems and get into the path of liberation. Okay. So this is a very rare opportunity that we have got, and we should make the maximum of it. Okay. Optimum of it. So we have to be very careful in understanding the perspective. So the wheel of viewpoints or perspective, 9 chakras, in the form of relative speech propounded by Lord Jinnah, is of an extremely sharp edge. Okay. So if it is of extremely sharp edge, our intellect has to be extremely sharp. Okay. If we understand superficially, we will end up doing wrong things. Okay. So it's a very responsible act. It must be wielded with utmost care. Otherwise, it may harm the very one who wields it. Okay. Before attempting to wield it, one should take refuge in the guidance of those adept teachers who are skilled in its use and should, under their direction, grasp the true essence of the Jaina's teaching. Okay. So if we are not able to execute it properly, then instead of doing good for us, it's going to harm us. The doctrines of non-absolutism and relative speech, Anekant and Syadvad, are so profound, deep, and subtle that without understanding them deeply and minutely, it is impossible to grasp their true essence. okay, of uh, the true essence of the Jina's teachings. Okay, are so profound and subtle that without understanding them deeply, mindfully, it is impossible to grasp their true essence. For when viewed superficially, they appear entire erroneous. This is very, very dangerous. When viewed superficially, है ना, ऊपर ऊपर से देखने पर कुछ नहीं पता चलेगा. You have to go very deep to get to the true essence. Okay. In this regard, the writer has expressed the views of Fani Bhushan Adhikari. Okay. Now he was the head of Department of Philosophy, a very learned scholar, and he is criticizing Sankaracharya. Sankaracharya was a very brilliant scholar of Vedant, and what he did, he got into debates with Jain scholars. Okay, and those scholars, they could not explain him this doctrine of non-absolutism, and just because he was misunderstood and he was a very popular scholar, he opposed the theory of Jainism in a large way to the masses, and many people were cut off from the Jain religion just because of his recommendations. Okay, since he was a scholar of very great fame and intellect, people believed in him. Okay, but the problem happened that Sankaracharya didn't read the fundamental canonical text, okay, directly. He just referred to the scholars, and scholars were not able to explain him in the right manner, and that's how he misinterpreted the theory of non-absolutism in Jainism, and because of that, many people were not able to accept Jainism. Okay, so this was a very gross, I can say, something gross error that has happened, and because of that, many potential seekers could not get access to this religion. Okay, that's a tragedy. So we should understand these viewpoints very clearly. Okay, otherwise we would all the time be either in doubts or in expressing possibilities, or in skeptical about it. Okay, so this should be best avoided by understanding, by repeating it. The best part is that you can go on repeating the same readings. Okay, and you will see that first time there was 20% clarity. Next time you read, there will be 40% clarity. Third time you read, there will be 60% clarity. Fourth time, every time you read, the clarity will go on increasing. Okay. So it is just a time that you have to spend with Jinwani to get to the root of the understandings. Okay. Continue. Malti ji.
Yes, sir. The renowned Hindi critic Acharya Mahavir Prasad Dwivedi writes, even great scholars and traditional Hindu adherents still do not know what kind of creature the Jain concept of relative speech really is. Sri Mahaupadhyay Satya Sampradacharya Pandit Swami Ram Mishraji Shastri, professor of Sanskrit College, Varanasi, writes, how much should I say? Even many renowned acharyas, in refuting the Jain doctrine in their works, have done so in such a manner that one cannot help but laugh on reading or hearing it. Relative speech is the impregnable fortress of Jainism. Within it, the illusory missiles of critics and opponents cannot penetrate. The doctrines of Jainism are of great importance for students of ancient Indian philosophy and religious discipline. Through this relative speech, the gateway to all true perspectives is opened. The views of the eminent Sanskrit scholar Dr. Ganganath Jha are also noteworthy. Ever since I read Shankaracharya's refutation of Jain principles, I have been convinced that there is much in this doctrine which the Acharya of Vedanta did not understand. And from whatever I have come to know of Jainism so far, I am firmly convinced that he had taken the effort to study the canonical texts of Jainism. He, he would have found no grounds to oppose it. It is extremely important to understand the exact meaning of the.
Stop. So the seventh point ends here. Now the eighth point starts from here. It is extremely important to understand the exact meaning of the word syat. Okay. So it is best that we read the scriptures of acharyas. Okay. Now almost all the scriptures are available in Hindi. Okay. So if we read the original, I think we will be able to understand it in a better way. Okay. Initially, we will take the help of the scholars' understanding and the other books that have been written later on by the scholars. But ultimately, we have to connect to the preachings of the acharyas, the original work of the acharyas. Okay, because acharyas are in that state where their passions are very mild. Okay, they have done away with the three quadruplet levels of passions. Okay, so only one quadruplet passions of Sanjunan Kasai is present. Okay, so because of their purity, because of their manifestation of passionlessness, they are in such a state that they would express nothing wrong intentionally. Okay, so that is the best thing that we could do by reading the scriptures directly. Initially, we may take the help of the scholars like Dr. Bharilji and all, but ultimately we have to connect to the acharyas. Okay, so then we will be able to comprehend the perspective in the right manner, and no harm will be done. Okay, so eighth and the last point for today, Madhuji, you read. It is extremely important.
Yes, sir. It is extremely important to understand the exact meaning of the word syat. Many misconceptions are prevalent about it. Some take it to mean doubt, others perhaps, and some possibility. In this way, relative speech is wrongly turned into the doctrines of perhapsism, scepticism, or possibilism. The word syat is not a finite verb, but an indeclinable particle.
Nipat.
Nipata. It does not denote doubt, but express a definite standpoint. Clarifying the word syat, Acharya Samantabhadra, the crown of logicians, writes, the word syat is an indeclinable particle. In sentences, this principal word serves as the indicator of non-absolutism and functions as a qualifier of the real nature of the entity. In other words, perhaps, doubt, and possibility. There is an element of uncertainty, and uncertainty is mark of ignorance. In relative speech, there is not the slightest trace of ignorance. Whatever it asserts with firmness. It neither imagines nor expresses possibilities. Professor Anand Shankar Babuhai Dhruva writes, many people call the relative speech taught in Mahavir's doctrine a form of scepticism, but did not accept this. Relative speech is not scepticism. Rather, it offers as a unique perspectival viewpoint, Drishti Bindu. It teaches us the manner in which the world should be observed. It is certain that without examining a thing from various viewpoints, its complete nature cannot be known. To criticize relative speech in Jainism is therefore unjust. Acharya Samantabhadra considered relative speech as illuminating all principles, sarvat, prakasha, just like omniscience, keval gyan, the only distinction lies in that one is direct, pratyaksh, and other is indirect,
Paroksh.
paroksh. Thank you, sir. Since the doctrine of non-absolutism and relative speech reveals the nature of reality, it is therefore necessary to understand the
Your voice has stopped. You have gone into mute or what? Or you are able to listen, Hemali?
No,
Ah,
sir.
okay.
No, sir.
So I think she has muted or what. So let me finish. Acharya Samanbhadra considered relative speech as eliminating all principles. Okay. Sarva Tattva Prakashak, eliminating all principles or doctrines. Just like omniscience, in omniscience, there is so much of clarity in their sermons. Similarly, this Acharya Samanbhadra considered relative speech, Syadvad, okay, Syadvad as illuminating all principles. The only distinction lies in that one is direct and the other is indirect. Since the doctrines of non-absolutism and relative speech reveal the true nature of reality, they are principles that establish not only inner peace but also universal peace. Okay, so we are being benefited and we apply it in our day-to-day life, then the whole universe will be benefited in the sense that there will not be any agitation in their mind. They will be able to comprehend the things as they are. Okay. In this context, the renowned historian and national poet Ramdhari Singh Dinkar writes, this is the last reference, there is no doubt that the pursuit of non-absolutism is the highest culmination of India's practice of non-violence, ahimsa. And the sooner the whole world adopts it, the sooner peace will be established throughout the world. With the sacred wish that all seekers of the self may, by understanding non-absolutism and relative speech, the principles that form the foundation of inner peace and inspiration for world peace, attain happiness and tranquility, I take leave. I very vividly remember one concept in English, empathy. You have listened to the word empathy? So if you are able to apply empathy, what it means? That you have to view the things from the other's perspective. Okay? And if you view from his perspective what he is talking or presenting, there will be no dispute. Because when you try to understand it from the other's perspective, then you feel that, oh, this is very justified, reasonable, rational. Okay? Then automatically the anger does not rise, the uh, the greed does not rise, the uh, pride does not rise, and the deceit does not arise. Okay, so this is all very, very beneficial for us for our internal peace. We have to understand the perspectives from where it is being said. Okay, so here the one word is used in the first paragraph that I want to understand, make you understand. So the first paragraph, number point 8. It is extremely important to understand the exact meaning of the word syat, relative speech. Many misconceptions are prevalent about it. Some take it to mean doubt. This is very, very false. Some think as perhaps. This is also wrong. And some think is a possibility. Sambhavna vad. This is also wrong. In this way, relative speech is wrongly turned into doctrines of perhapsism, skepticism. Skepticism means doubt, or possibilism. All these three are false. The word syat is not a finite verb. Finite verb means it is not something that you should be doubtful about. Okay, is not a finite verb, but an indeclinable particle. You cannot decline it. Okay, nipat. That means it establishes definite standpoint. It is very firm in its assertion. Okay, that is the meaning of indeclinable particle nipat. It does not denote doubt. Okay, so doubt is that means a finite verb. Okay, but expresses a definite standpoint. Okay, Acharya Samanbhadra says the word syat is an indeclinable particle. You cannot decline it. You have to accept it. Okay. Uh, it's a definite standpoint that you have to understand. In sentences, this principal word serves as the indicator of non-absolutism, anekant, and functions as a qualifier of the real nature of the entity. By applying this, you are able to comprehend the real nature of the entity. Okay. And when you comprehend the nature, the real nature of the entity, you are able to manifest the right belief. Okay. So in that context, this is very, very important to understand the word. In the words perhaps, doubt, and possibility, there is an element of uncertainty. And uncertainty is a mark of ignorance. In relative speech, there is not the slightest trace of ignorance. Whatever it asserts with firmness. It neither imagines nor expresses possibilities. It only talks of the absolute truth. Okay. So this is all about this. Hope you have understood this. With repeated readings, you will be able to understand it better. Still, if you encounter any questions, you are always welcome to ask me one-to-one, anytime, always welcome. And with this is the end of our syllabus in this semester. You have objectives coming up from, I think, 9th Jan. Okay. One objective, paper 1 will be open for 1 week, and then the second, the third. Latest by 31st Jan, you have to attempt all the quiz papers. Okay. So Pratibhaji, what you can do is you can carry books there wherever you go, because this management are saying that we cannot prepone the exams and we cannot postpone the exams, right? So
Okay.
better it would be you carry the books wherever you are going, and from there you attempt one paper, because two anyways you will be completing before going, right? Only the
Yes.
third paper you carry the books with you, and just one book, small book, this one, the printout. Okay. And you can attempt from there. And the worst case, if you get say less marks, doesn't mind. Okay.
Mhm.
Just attempt it and complete these things.
Yeah, I will try. It's going to
Yeah.
be hard since
Yeah.
I'll be it's
So
going to be
for me, the actual exams would be how you are able to apply these principles that you learn here in your day-to-day life, and how you are able to diffuse the situation. The situation demands you to do anger and you are relaxed. The situation
Mhm.
demands you to manifest greed and you are relaxed. The situation demands you to manifest deceit and you are honest, right? So this is the real exam, and that we are all trying our level best to apply these principles what we have understood. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we are not successful, but when we are not successful, we learn it. Yeah. And we don't repeat the same mistake again and again. Okay. So making mistakes is not a crime. It's
Mhm.
another way of learning, you know. So never hesitate, never feel guilt. Okay. Always be happy, because whatever we have learned in terms of knowledge and whatever we have upgraded our knowledge enables us to be in happy space all the time. Okay. And if you encounter any problem that you are not able to uh, come over it, you are always welcome to relate to me, and I will apply the principles what we have learned so far, and we will be able to find the solution. Okay. So
So
this
just
is
one
all.
question.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
here it is written Syat, SYAT. It's basically Syad, no?
Syad.
Syadwad, it
Yeah.
is SYAD.
SYAD actually it is. But
Actually
in
hona chahiye.
English, sometimes it's written like that. And because the A, above A, there is a hyphen, right? So that is not A,
Hmm.
but Ah. So Syat, Syat. Okay. So actually it would be Syad, Syad.
Syad.
Okay. In Hindi it is Syad, but in English they have done it Syat.
So one more question. ये मोक्ष मार्ग प्रकाशक is scripture.
Right.
But all this, what we are doing now, these are all concepts to
These are all
understand the
concepts.
scriptures.
This has been adapted from different scriptures because we cannot read the whole scriptures right now. So
So these
whatever,
concepts are also written in the scriptures.
yeah,
The
these are
anekans,
these are
these are
there.
written in the scriptures.
These are there in many scriptures. So all the references have been taken. Okay, and we are doing it here. Similarly, the four exposition. There is a chapter in Mokshmarg Prakasak, chapter 8, related to that four exposition. But apart from Todarmalji, no other acharyas have expressed this four exposition. Okay. Although the acharyas have written Pratman Yog, like Parsva Puran, Harivansh Puran, Padma Puran, different scriptures have been written by acharyas only. But nobody had dared to have a comprehensive comparative studies of the four exposition. And when you apply the four exposition in any particular event, automatically it leads to your uh, making good decisions. Okay, one thing. Second thing is you are able to manifest equanimity in the same space. Okay. So all these principles, if you understand, little bit hard work you have to do to understand it. But once understood, you'll be apply in your day-to-day life, and there will be not an entity in the world who will be able uh, to make you unhappy. Okay, nobody can make you unhappy. If you are manifesting unhappiness, then it is your own responsibility, because the scripture says all tricks how to be in happy in every space. Only thing is that if you have not practiced enough to apply it in your day-to-day life, you will not be able to apply it. But if you practice, if you apply little bit of logic, everything is so simple that I would consider getting a degree of MBA, engineering, CA very difficult compared to manifest right belief, because we have very limited principles to understand. And even if we are able to understand one principle out of so many we have been taught, and applying that itself leads us to be in a happy space all the time. Okay. So these are so much of having so much of depth. Okay. Only you have to spend time with Jinwani, repeat it again and again, ask questions if you have in mind, then again read it, and in similar passion, you will be able to diffuse the delusion very fast and manifest right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. Okay. So our time is also over and the syllabus is also over. All the best for the objective exams. And in between, you have enough time for revisions. Like today is 20th December, right? So the next first exam is going to be on the 9th of Jan. So at least 20 days time you have. You revise in meantime. If you have any problems, you can ask me on a one-to-one basis. We can discuss at length. There is no time limit. Okay. But do spend time with Jinwani, understand it. There are, I understand, some challenges with terminology, okay, because we are studying in English, okay. And that's why I said you call for the Hindi books also. At least sometime, if you are not understanding, you can refer the Hindi books. Originally, these have been written in Hindi, okay. So the natural flow of language is there in Hindi, which cannot be achieved the same way in English, because English is a translation. Okay. If this book would have been written by acharyas directly in English, then it would have been easy for you to comprehend. Okay. But since it has been translated, in every translation there is some impurities always existing. Okay. And that makes it difficult. But with intent and your hard work, everything is possible. Okay. So with that note, I leave. We close this class for today. And
Sir,
yeah.
sir, I have a question. In Hindi, if we refer it,
Hmm.
will it be easier or matlab, will it?
Yeah, if you know the Hindi, it will be definitely easier. I can say it will be definitely easier by 30%.
Okay.
English, we are struggling with terminology. English, we are struggling with grammar. English, we are struggling with flow. Just because of Chat GPT, the flow is very good. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult. I'm also in the process of translating the Moksha Marg Prakashak, chapter 6 and 8. It's under review now. So hopefully by the Jan, I think 15th Jan it is Saturday, right? 15th or 16th Jan. That is the time when we will start our session. Okay. So almost you are having a good vacation of more than 3 weeks. Okay. So that time we would be, what date is Saturday? Uh, just let me refer. So I'll give you the
The
exact date.
17th January.
Okay. So 17th January is we are going to start the session, next session. So almost 1 month you have. In meantime, this is the time that you revise what you have read earlier also. At least the CC, if you refer, no, at least you will have roundabout ideas of the concepts, and that is going to help you in applying it as and when it required. Okay. So repetition is the only thing that we have at our hand. You keep on repeating and the subject will become clear. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
It's just
Yes,
an
sir. Thank
extension
you.
of what Maltiji was asking.
Mhm.
So what about Krambat Paryay? Is it also from Divya Dhwani or is it what Kanji Swamiji has written?
No, there are references in different scriptures, like we saw in Pravachan Sar, verse number 99. Then in Samay Sar, verse number 308 to 11. Then in Kartikeya Nupreksha, verse number 321 to 323. So it was there, something here, something there. Kanji Swami accumulated all the references and did a elaborate lecture on that. Okay. And
Okay.
that's why it has become as a doctrine. But ultimately, if you see, it is nothing but an extension of substance, attributes, and modification.
Yeah.
Okay. So at base, it's all very simple. And
So it
only
was
thing is that
easier to understand Tatvartha Sutra, this
everything is easy. As I
but this
said, ki if you
concept are
understand the perspective, it's easy. Now, understanding the perspective requires a little bit of repetition of readings again and again to make the same word clear.
Actually, so Krambat Paryay was very nice. Like it's one of my favorites. So
All are good. All are good.
maybe because I
And,
keep
and
thinking
and we have
about
to keep
it.
all the tools in our hand. We never know what is required at what point of time. Sometimes it happens that in a particular situation, you are applying 4 5 principles one by one, and that is giving you firmness. That is uh, that is giving you, I could say, a head start to making firm decisions. you know so each and every principles is worth understanding, is worth applying. We never know which will we come across when. It's again independent. Okay. Now, if you are supposed to be in anxiety mode, you will never remember the principle, because the moment you apply, you will be in happy space. Okay.
We have to be
and
firm.
and your Krambat says that you will not be in happy space for another half an hour. So for a half an hour, you will not be able to remember that principle. And suddenly when the time comes, you understand, that principle also comes to your mind, and you apply it, and you immediately becomes relaxed. So everything is independent. We know that. So the end result at the end, the final say is that flow with the flow. Okay. Absolutely, you can say, be relaxed mode. Okay. Flow with the flow. If something is not happening, never mind. It is destined to be never happening. Okay. So with this kind of attitude, you will be in happy space all the time. Okay. Don't burden yourself with expectations. Okay. Just explore. We don't want to read our future from an astrologer. We would like to explore it. Just people go for adventures. We also are doing that same thing in our day-to-day life. We don't know what life will throw us the next moment, but we are ready for the challenge. because we are equipped with so many principles and doctrines. So if we apply one principle and the anxiety goes away. Okay. So it is like that. I cannot see any other thing in this life better than this Tattva Gyan. And each and every one, whatever time you have at your disposal, you should study Swadhyay. Okay. That is going to give you enough strength to apply it again and again. Okay.
Yes. Thank you,
निज
sir.
निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है. 9 times